Good looking room today. Welcome, fellow Kiwanians and guests. Thank you for being here. Beautiful day today. Just a little cold. Can you? Joel, this Saturday evening, this past Saturday, and we're going to hear more about that in our future announcements. Want to share our sympathies with Mike Loveman and the former member Tracy Palame, they've both lost loved ones this past week, and we have cards that we're going to send around. So please sign and pass that along. Our invocation today is going to be led by Tom Miller.
Let us pray. Eternal God, creator of all things that we appreciate, love, adore, long for, we ask that you keep us ever mindful that we as Kiwanians have an obligation to sustain our community, to make sure that it is around for those who come beyond us to enjoy. We ask that you keep us mindful that there are members of our community who need our love and support, be they children, adults, or senior citizens. The Kiwanis Club of Roanoke, Lord, has a special emphasis on addressing the needs of our children and our seniors and preserving our community. We thank you for making us passionate about those things, and we ask that you please keep us passionate about those things. Lord, there's much strife in the world. It seems that it makes no difference what we do or do not do. There is always going to be strife. We pray for peace, especially in Ukraine and in Eastern Europe. And we ask that those in our country, especially who are impacted by family members or friends, business associates, or who have traveled in the region, that they can be comforted during this difficult time. We ask now that you bless this food that has been so generously prepared for us in the hands of those who prepared it. May it nourish our bodies so that we do your work here on this earthly kingdom. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Tom. Our song leader today is Judy Clark. Thank you. And Pegram, would you lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please join me in the pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Introduction to guests today is going to be by our own mayor, Sherman Lee.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Oh, I realize I need to get that closer. All right. We have some special guests with us today, and I'd like for them to stand. Mr. Greg Lundberger. And he is here with Sam, his father. It's good to see you, Greg. All right, we have Ben Baird, and he's here with his wife, Jean Belanoff. All right. And George and Elena Simonos, and they're here as guests of Lloyd Baker Lloyd. Welcome.
Thank you, Sherman. All right, now we get to have some fun. Andy, would you come up and talk about officers and directors?
See if I don't blow you out, I'm not sure. I'm Andy Stone. I'm chairman of the nominating committee this year, made up of the 5 most recent past presidents. And we have a wonderful slate of officers lined up for next year. President will be Ben Spiker. And I don't know whether, if y'all are here, would you please stand up? Because we got a lot of new members that may not know people. And so it'd be nice to know. There's Ben over here. President-elect Michael Bacha, Vice President Jeannie Bergendorf, Secretary Treasurer John Montgomery, past President and best job is Clark Goodman. 3-year directors are Bob Haverman, Bruce Swanson, Sheila Onberger, and Harry Zana. We have a wonderful slate by acclamation. Let's vote and welcome everybody as our new officers coming up and starting October 1st. Thank you.
I say for all those in favor of that slate, let's say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so the motion passes. Thank you all. All right, we don't have any whips or outfits today, daggone it. But, but let's bring that team in because they're a sassy bunch anyway.
All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is louder today. This is way loud. And I like being loud, but that's loud. So we're going to jump into our presentation for this week and take some look at the numbers. We are nearing the end of this race. It has been very competitive. I have a feeling that there are still going to be quite a few surprises as we close out in the next week or two. And that's aside the auction items, which I want to encourage you to go onto the auction link, share the link, share it with some friends and family. We have really great auction items, anywhere for anything from gift certificates, clay shooting at Ferrum, at Summit Springs. We have hotels, we have meals, we have jewelry, all the things. If you have not donated an item or selected an item for the auction, when you get home tonight, go rummage through your spouse's items and find something that you feel they need to get rid of. Take a picture of that item, send it to Leanne with a description and how much money you think we can get for that item. And that will go towards your ticket sales. If you have not purchased or sold one KPAD ticket, you can take out your checkbook and write a check for $5 to Kiwanis of Roanoke so that we make sure we have 0 zeros. We want 0 zeros in our club this year for KPAD. So Mike, we've got our Kiwanis Derby Run for the Roses. Let's see who is running hard with $949. JC, Team Secretariat. I'm surprised that it's not louder in that corner. Awesome. And when it comes down to our individual who is taking over the track, JC Taylor, $499. I'm glad you're here and present and live for this, JC. I know you want to do a little bit of bragging after the meeting today. So who's going back to the barn? Our Flapjack Jamboree. But again, as we have said week after week, this team is an awesome team. We're going to see their team total as well. So just because they're hanging their head on the track does not mean that they have not contributed to our KPAD this year. So week by week, you can see our numbers up and down. This past week, $2,839 is what we managed to bring in. That's it. And week 7 was our best week, but when you're talking about $2,000 towards the end of the race, that's still exceptional. And so here's our team standings. The Secretariat, we can see in first place, odds on favorite. I mean, just neck and neck. That's right. Our Sea Biscuits, and again, our consortium's nothing to be shy about at that $6,400 mark, and our maple stirrups at $5,641. So here's our track, and we can see as we're coming around the corner, we also have that non-Kiwanian donation of $400, and we're looking to see an increase in that when we get to that auction. Over on the right-hand side, we can see that our date total is $48,830. Next slide. So our top riders, we want to acknowledge everybody that came in hot and heavy this week. JC, Lori, Mai Chung, Amy, Roop. And who's up in the stirrups? Neck and neck, of course, Roop and JC Taylor. Look at that, $28.50 to $25.99. That's incredible. So here we go again. We've got our grand total, and that means that now we only have just over $11,000. $11,000 in ticket sales and auction items. We're hoping that Roanoke Star is going to go for some really big bucks. We're hoping our auction items are going to go for some really big bucks. Betsy has donated some items that are even from France. So again, please, please, please get on that link, check out the auction, and then we're also going to have the live auction. So you might notice that when you click on an item, it will have a disclaimer on there that tells you that you can bid on that item now, but it will be on the live auction. So if you get outbid and you're not at the live auction, you obviously are not going to get that particular item. So make it a point to be at the live auction if there's something on there that you really just can't live without. And I feel like everyone can't live without an auction item. And I think that everyone should be looking at the auction website every day of their life.
Every day of your life. You guys are going to hear that for a long time. Okay. And so what we also wanted to do is give some big shout outs to thoroughbreds that we have in this Run for the Roses. And so I want to give a shout out to our top ticket sellers at this point. So we have Rupert Cutler, obviously, is leading the pack at $28.50. JC Taylor is at a strong $25.99, right behind Rupert. And then we have Stephanie Reynolds at $1,400. Okay. Mike Lee is coming in at $1,325. Andy Stone, who's here? Andy Stone, right in front. He's at $1,245. So you're right behind Mike. Good. Our very own Amy Carter is at the big 1,000. She broke the $1,000 mark. Mike Loveman, $1,000. Good. And right behind him, not too far back, is Don Witt at 905. Reef Kessler, 726. And Joe Lemmer and John Pendleton are both at 700. So huge. A huge shout out to those guys. So thank you so much. Next week is our last Wednesday before KPAD. And it is Run for the Roses. It is the Kentucky Derby on our KPAD. So let's all wear derby hats next week. Everybody wear your derby hat and come out and support it and have some fun. Okay. All right. So keep those sales coming in. It's we're in the home stretch. It's going to be nose and nose, especially between Roop and JC. So we want to stay tuned and see how that comes out. All right. That's it. Love you guys.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Great news, great numbers, guys. Let's talk about who's ready to catch some fish this weekend? I'm ready. Bob, let's talk about it.
Good afternoon. This is my last chance at you here. For Mike Bell and myself, we're looking forward to this Saturday. The weather's supposed to be okay. I talked with the West End Center people, and they've had a huge amount of enthusiasm for the event. And I think we're going to have 30 plus kids, which means we still need all the help we can get. Particularly, I think we need some more ladies involved. We need cooks and also someone else to help Lori sign up the kids when they arrive about 9 o'clock. We'd like everybody to come about 8:30 to 9, and the lunch will start about, Amy's going to do that at 12. If you volunteer, raise your hands up if you're planning on being there Saturday. Okay. Perhaps maybe we could meet after the meeting just up at the stage for a few comments and get ourselves all fired up to clean fish. Thank you.
Hello again. Looks like we got a room full today. That's great. I love to see this room full. I wanted to tell you a little bit about last Saturday. There were quite a few Kiwanians involved in that. I want to give thanks to, is Joe Gaither here today? Joe, stand up, Joe. Joe was wonderful. He and his minister at Shiloh Baptist Church graced our presence with their band Leviticus, and they were fantastic. Everybody now wants them to play, and their minister won't let them out of church on Sunday. And Joe also served as my MC. It was very inspiring. You all know how Joe can pray. Oh man, he did a good job at the vigil. We didn't have a lot in numbers. There were 50 to 60 people there, but the ladies were just thrilled to death with the outpouring of support from this whole town. They said they can't get over how everyone has offered to help, has donated their time, talent, and treasure, as we say. And also want to thank, is David Points here today? Oh, okay. Okay, David. We want to thank David for his graciousness in advertising this for 4 days. Also, Mr. Morano at WFIR had it on every half hour for a couple of days. So we had present from Kiwanis. We had, where's Ken Brooks? Ken was there, Sherry and Dave Hartman, Pegram was there, of course, Joe Gaither, myself. So we were well represented. And as I said, even in the midst of the stories that the ladies told, which were heartbreaking, you know, we can watch it on television, we can read about it, we can turn it off, we can go to bed, go to sleep. They can't turn it off. They can't turn it off. The horrors that they see every day of their hometowns and knowing that their families are in those towns, it's beyond comprehension. And they are such passionate women and so strong. And that's what they talked about, was the strength of the Ukrainian people. Well, we see that on television day to day. She said, but if you knew them, you would know it's true. They're very strong, very faith related, deep faith. They're Orthodox. They don't have a church here in Roanoke for them really to go to. Sunday was their Easter. Saturday was their Good Friday. And they had, they baked Ukrainian bread and cookies and handed them out. So it was, even amidst all of the sadness, it was very uplifting because of the prayers, because of, we had about 7 ministers. And then the songs were great. The band was fantastic. So it was a beautiful day and no rain, no snow. So just that was great. So anyway, again, thanks to everyone that had any part in helping make it a success. So I'd like to just really quickly, of course, our prayer breakfast is coming up on May the 5th. We're up to about almost 90 tickets. So that is wonderful. We have a really neat program for you, some neat songs to be sung. And again, our prayers go to everyone in Ukraine. Thank you so much.
Hey, after your announcement, would you just roll with the black book?
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of weave them in.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. I have announcements and brag bucks, and John, just keep up on how much I owe you. I could brag on everybody in this room, really, I think. But I want to start off with, before I forget it, the brag buck on Lori Baker Lloyd for inviting Elena and George. I got to go to lunch with Elena, got to meet George today, and Lori is out there recruiting, y'all, spreading Kiwanis like confetti, I'd say. So if you all would stand again, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it. And Lori, thank you for being on the recruit mode. We appreciate it. So everybody new here today, come on back, y'all. Okay. So the nature park, we have a few announcements related to our nature park. One of them has to do with Deacon Joe Gaither back there. It's Joe Gaither Day today. Joe has been convening a group every other week to plan our Spring Fun Day and Planting Festival. Yay. May not feel like spring today, but it is. And we look forward to having y'all bring back your plants and put them in the ground if your seeds grew, which some did not. But Joe, to his credit, has gotten such a wonderful group of collaborators to come together and plan a marvelous day of all of us gathering as a community to not just plant seeds, but really to plant a sense of community that day. So May 21st, 11 to 3,
join Joe Gaither and his team, and soon we're going to get you up here, Joe, to make those announcements. In relation to the nature park, a big shout out and thank you to Cox for their e-cycling event that they held on Saturday. And a brag buck goes to Ben Spiker, who followed me and brought in his stuff to Cox's parking lot. Cox is a wonderful community partner for us. Their commitment to community conserves is playing out in a major donation to our park. They gave us $15,000 from Cox. They're our first corporate sponsor. And speaking of nature park sponsors, we get to announce today that thanks to Mike McAvoy's connection with the Virginia Environmental Endowment Group, we applied for a grant for the Kiwanis Nature Park. And we found out on Earth Day that we were awarded a $50,000 grant. So, woohoo! Yeah. So that is exciting. You know what, y'all? We are really gonna turn around that area in Northwest Roanoke that right now really suffers as a heat island, has not had a safe place to gather outdoors. And now they will not just have playground equipment, but because of Rupert Cutler's vision, we're gonna turn this into a nature park. This effort led by Don Witt, Rupert Cutler, and myself. So thank you all so much. Lots of brags to keep track of.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bruce Swanson. It's hard to follow up to that, but I'll take the big 5-0. So I'm going to borrow Tyler's persona here for a minute. So if you can back up 50 years and imagine Tyler's hair on my head, that would be my wedding picture 50 years ago to my wife, Julie. Just a little bit more like the Beatles cut from the 1970s, if you can imagine that. But that was me 50 years ago. So I am giving a gift to the foundation in honor of my wife, Julie. We were married 50 years ago on the 21st, and we are still married. All right. Thank you very much.
Don Wilson. I want to invite everyone to come to Evergreen Burial Park's tree walking tour this Sunday at 2 o'clock. Evergreen is a level 1 arboretum, according to the Morton Arboretum in Chicago. It's just a nice, easy afternoon walk. It'll be rain or shine. So please come Sunday at 2. It'll be led by Ben Wilson, our ground superintendent and tree steward. If you're not able to make it on Sunday, I have a few of these individual self-guided walking tour booklets. Be glad to give you one. Come to Evergreen for a tree tour. Our champion red horse chestnut tree is in full bloom right now. You don't want to miss it. It's at the east gate. Thanks a lot.
So I have a brag book, if you'll bill me, please, John. So when I'm not spending time with Kiwanis, I am chairing the agricultural committee for the Botetourt County Chamber of Commerce, as well as spending my Saturdays at the farmers market. I've been involved with the farmers market for a number of years, and over the past 2 years, our sales have increased by 400%. We brought in over $200,000 last year with the Botetourt County Farmers Market. So if you would like the opportunity to learn a little bit about our market and to have a really delicious lunch, we are going to have a farm to table ag lunch and learn at Stony Brook Vineyard, which is in Troutville. It is on Cinco de Mayo. It's from 11:30 to 1. And what we've been able to do is pair local growers and producers to be able to provide this luncheon. So Williamson Farms is providing the beef, which will go to Zone A to get cooked for our taco bar. And chicken from Salt Lick will be taken to Jenny Barquette at the pie shop for fajita pies to be made. So all the coordinations that we have done are with all of our local growers and producers all to be locally sourced from Botetourt County and our surrounding areas. So I know most of you guys are Salemites and Roanokers, but if you'd like to come over into Botetourt and see just how awesome our farmers market is, we'd love for you to hear about where we've been and where we're going and what we see our future to look like. So we would absolutely love to have you. Farmers market is every Saturday from the first weekend in May until the last weekend in October, starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. So shop local. Thank you.
Steve McGraw, to brag on Mike O'Brock's video of his trip to Everest Base Camp. If you haven't seen that, go see it. It is fantastic. Second brag is on J.C. Taylor, who I, as you all know so well, I'm so proud that I brought him into the club years ago because I taught him everything he knows about selling real estate and K-Pad tickets. And so thank you, J.C., for honoring me in that way.
All right, JC, you want to brag? Come on up. Come on up. All right. Well, just imagine Tyler's hair on my head. Yeah, he's offering it up. No. Yes, you do. So I want to just say our speaker today is Tyler Godsey. Real excited. I'm going to let Leanne introduce Tyler to us, and I hope you all enjoy the program.
Hello. Sorry. Got a lot of tall people in the club, apparently. Today's speaker is Tyler Godsey, who's the founder and executive director of 5 Points Music Foundation. 5 Points Music Foundation is a local nonprofit venue that uses live events to fund and promote programs that support music therapy, hearing loss advocacy, and accessibility initiatives. You may recognize Tyler and may have heard of 5 Points before, as they've also sponsored and hosted where our Key Club Dance Marathon has been held. He's also been a guest to Kiwanis before and has spoken to us several years ago, I believe. The work that he does at 5 Points Music Foundation is changing lives, and I can't wait for you to hear more about it today. He started 5 Points Music Foundation 5 years ago after working with the Regional Commission for the previous 6 years. Originally from Roanoke, he has 2 children, Brooke and Forrest, and an amazing wife who works as an oncology nurse at Carilion. His presentation today will leave you inspired and will show you how the power of sound can bring everyone together and make a difference in the vitality of regional families, musicians, artists, and the broader community. Please join me in welcoming Tyler Godsey and Brandon Mendonca, who's the Accessibility and Program Coordinator for 5 Points.
Thank you very much, Leanne. Stand here today. It is a privilege and an honor. I'm going to take this thing out and talk with my hands a little bit. It's a privilege and honor to stand here with you guys today. The work at Kiwanis Club expands beyond the decades. If I could sit here 50 years from now and celebrate the work that we do at 5 Points Music, I would consider myself a very lucky man. But here we are 5 years into our mission as a nonprofit. Our mission is to pursue the power of sound. And as Leanne mentioned, we started 5 years ago. It's a very personal mission to me. I have 2 beautiful children, Brooke and Forrest. They're 12 and 9 years old, and they were both born deaf. At 11 months old, we were lucky enough to give them cochlear implants, allowing us to celebrate the gift of sound. That's the gift that serves as an inspiration for everything we do. We celebrate sound, we embrace it, and we pursue it. But it's not just through shows that bring people together. Rather, we use these shows as a platform to fund and promote programs like music therapy, hearing loss advocacy, accessibility programs, and more. So we run a year-round music therapy program that we give free music therapy to all types of ages with different special needs. They range from 3 years old with Down syndrome to veterans with PTSD. Our accessibility initiatives, they're multifaceted. We have these things called a sub pack. And these are backpacks that feed into the PA system at all of our events. And they take the vibrations of the music, sending the person wearing it. We have colorblind correction glasses for people to watch lights as originally intended. We provide these programs not just as an accommodation, but more broadly to remind people that the power of sound is more than what we hear. It's about what we see. It's about what we feel. It's also about what we share collectively. When we mix that together in a pot, we get these moments that we chase at a live event. It's the moments when the lights, the band, the audience, they all converge. It's for these moments that we're all on the same page. Doesn't matter where we come from, what God we love, who we love, it all washes away. For each of our events, we chase that moment for its purity and unity. When we define our work, that mission, the power of sound, we define it by looking at a spectrum, really. On one end of the spectrum, apex moment, right? Lights, bands, audience. But on the other side, it's a much more innate concept. When I turned on my son's ears, he was still a baby, 11 months old. He's 12 years old now. My wife leaned over, and the very first words she says were, "I love you." And these are 3 simple words we've said to each other thousands of times throughout my life. But in that moment, they hit me in a unique way. It was an emotional, mental, physical, spiritual impact. At its essence, that's what we talk about when we talk about the power of sound. It's recognizing and celebrating the idea that in life, it is often the little things that can have the most profound impacts on us. The simple words we say and how we say them. Please, thank you, I'm sorry, I love you. They have the power to change and alter the course of where we go, what we do, how we feel. And for me, that moment, those 3 words, those 3 vibrations, I love you, they serve as a spark for everything we do at 5 Points. Now, between those 2 ends of the spectrum, it serves as a playing field for what we do as an organization. At all of our events, we get up and we remind our audience on the stage while we're there. We're ultimately here to celebrate life's special moments. But we realize today more than ever before that there is no promise or guarantee beyond anything other than right now. So we honor that idea. About 2 years after I started, my children were diagnosed with what's called Usher syndrome. It's a rare genetic disorder in which, unfortunately, there's no cure, there is no treatment, and they are now going blind. It starts at adolescence, and night vision goes, peripheral vision goes. Ultimately, their world will fade. Naturally, when life throws us haymakers, our inclination is to curl up, a little bit of a sulking, which is what I did. And about a week later, I came out to another show. And as I stood out for the audience, I look around, and there's a common thread that connects each one of us. We all have our own story of struggle and fight and pain, and most people have no clue. We walk around, each one of us, trying to figure out how we're going to wake up tomorrow and put one foot in front of the next. And while my story is unique, it's no more difficult than anyone else's. There's an analogy that sometimes people talk about life being a walk on the beach. It's on that walk that the ocean, to me, represents life, perpetual tides of struggle and chaos that rise and fall. If we stare at it long enough, sometimes it can feel like that's all it is. It can overwhelm us. There's anxiety, there's uncertainty. When I stare down the shoreline 15 years from now, I don't quite know what's in store. There's moments of anxiety that I don't know how I'm going to prepare for the world ahead. But it's at these moments in life when we're overwhelmed, we have to remind ourselves to turn away from the chaos, turn away from the struggle for a split second, and look where you stand, look at your feet, right where you are. Bottom, you might find a starfish in the sand. You might find the wind as it whips patterns down the shore. You might follow that to a sunset on the horizon. We turn away from the chaos, not because it goes away, not because we can forget about it, but we turn away to find these small moments of purity, of beauty, to remind us that's not all life is. We hold on to them so that when we do face our struggles, it's a little easier knowing why we fight. What the story, what the spirit of 5 Points music is. When you walk through our gates, when you walk through our doors, when you engage with our program, our goal is to be that starfish, to be that moment, so that whatever you come into that door with, when you walk out, it's a little easier knowing why you fight. Now, as we started this, we think about our programs, right? These shows. The music therapy program, since we've started, it was the very first one that we launched, and we partnered with Noel Anderson of Anderson Music Therapy. Since we've started, we have provided over $75,000 worth of free music therapy to people all over Southwest Virginia. The program continues to expand. Ultimately, my long-term goal with this is to find ways that we are able to capture the benefits and the data that goes to support music therapy in terms of a more coverage for insurance companies. Right now, the subsidies that we provide for this music therapy are needed because there aren't any insurance companies that provide it. However, data, education, research, these things are starting to come into the fold, and more people are realizing the real benefits of music therapy. When we think about our accessibility programs, they start with a sub-pack and they start with the colorblind correction classes, but by no means does that stand up to the scrutiny, what we really want to think about when it comes to accessibility programming. One of the things that we've done over the past year and a half since we've come out of this pandemic is we've actually grown fourfold in terms of our staff. One of my favorite new partners that we work with, Brandon here, he's joined us in January. Brandon comes as a background as a closed caption writer, and we have brought Brandon on to develop and help to strengthen our programs. He is focused on getting his certified accessibility professional certificate, something like that, I think it's some acronym. And what we've also taken from this is how do we take these ideas, develop best practices within a small little venue that can scale out beyond Roanoke, beyond the 5 Points Music Sanctuary. As we've grown, we've partnered with the Coves Amphitheater at Smith Mountain Lake to help them define a plan towards accessibility. For those that may have been there last year, you'll go there this year and you'll notice a whole new change. Everything from wheelchair access, dedicated ADA parking, lighting to support people with low light vision. We expand on these service options by going to Floyd Fest this summer and work with them to explore how they can make their world more universally approachable. When we think about the growth of our music therapy programs, it's not by any means just here, it's not just by any means in Southwest Virginia. It is throughout the region, throughout the state. Ultimately, I believe that our work, our mission, our goals, they are not confined by any four walls, they are universal. One of the programs that we are working with right now, we are working to sponsor a wish for Make-A-Wish Foundation, a beautiful kid in Richmond. Eli is about 5 years old. He is blind. He is immobile, and his family struggles to connect with him. One of his wishes, one of the things that brought him and his family joy was music therapy. Now you can imagine as a parent, the struggle of being given a challenge in which oftentimes you might not have a solution. So now it's a coping method. One of the ways a parent connects with their child through music therapy, where they hear the giggles, they see the smiles that are often non-existent for many years. And when they bang on a keyboard, when they sing a song, when they feel the vibrations of a moment, capturing. It connects the mother and son to in a place that they've often struggled. There's a short video, it's a little bit older that I think it'd be a great point, and this is a client, a mother of a client that's been with us since the very first year we started music therapy. I'd love it if Mike could maybe give this a run and y'all take a listen.
I think the biggest challenge at that point I was trying to overcome was maybe my own with Lucy and being in a group that she would fit in and that would help her just be able to express herself. So she wasn't talking, still doesn't talk very much, but she sings. She,
Mike, can you start it up a little bit?
you know, wasn't talking, walking, still in diapers. And I think anything at that point was a challenge. So for both of us, being able to come somewhere to music therapy and just do something that she loved, I was hoping would help her to at least open up and sing and trust and vocalize anything. I came to the music group here. It's completely different. You know, there were other moms just like me. There were other moms that were struggling with the same things I was, and there was no feeling of you don't belong and your child's doing great. And let's just work with where they are right now. To walk into a group that you're already accepted, no one's looking at you, they're watching their child. It was amazing. It was the best thing I'd ever done. And I was so excited that I drove back every week. You know, I made that hour trip both ways. I think the progress that we're seeing, and I actually have a professional, you know, to help me understand, wow, this is progress. You know, listen to what she's saying, listen to what she's doing. So when she did start kindergarten this year, she already had knowledge of some very important skills that help her to grow. I remember hearing that Medicaid didn't cover it and the devastation. Ooh, I'm pregnant. But I think, you know, it took so long to get Medicaid and then to realize it didn't cover such an important thing, especially for our kids. Not a luxury for us. I think it's not a luxury. It's kind of like, you know, learning to walk. Like, how would you donate to that? Yeah. It matters so much to all of us, but especially to Lucy. I think music therapy for me brings me such a joy because, you know, Lucy's learned so many songs and she can just sing them. And it's just wonderful. Just a huge gift, and I'm super blessed I found you. And, you know, super blessed. From your friendship to, you know, the whole place. Amazing. So thanks.
Thank you, Mike. So our goal here is not just to think about how these programs benefit our broader community as a community steward. I take a great amount of pride in how our work benefits people beyond our immediate scope. When we think about the expansion on our community impact, it's not just through the music therapy programs, it's not just through our accessibility initiatives, but it's through our community impact with partners like Key Club, where we work so well with you guys to host phenomenal fundraisers. We partnered with organizations over the pandemic in which the Juvenile Diabetes Research Group, in the middle of a pandemic, their annual dinners, they go away. How do they make funding to sustain the projects and the programs that they continue to provide? They come to a place like 5 Points, where we provide not only the creative support, but also technical support for how they can run a live stream fundraiser in which we bring in music, we run programming, video record, help them take away the anxiety of reimagining how we do what we do. When the pandemic hit, it was March 13th and our very last show, and I remember everybody in the office who was wondering what's going to happen on Monday. Well, I showed up at 8 o'clock, and the first thing I said to everybody was, our story is a story that's built on resilience. I asked my children each and every day to wake up, put on these cochlear implants, navigate the world and the challenges ahead of them. Do so with their head high, their shoulders back, and to do it fearlessly. I often forget exactly how hard it is for them. The things I talk about, when I get on the stage and I tell people in the room to remind themselves how lucky they are, to turn to the people in their lives and tell them they love them, these are things that I'm not necessarily good at. It's actually my way of working through my own challenges, the things I know I need to be doing to be a better dad, to be a better community steward, to be a better friend, to be a better professional. Now, as we talk about that concept of resilience, we started the very next day after March 13th, and we kept going. We reached out to different organizations that, how can we help? We helped the Juvenile Diabetes Group raise over, I think it was $16,000 for that event, in which there was a pandemic and nobody was making anything. We took the opportunities to work and partner with variety of organizations, whether it's for giving them space to put on their own events, whether it is using our events to help raise money for them and find ways to partner with the Boys and Girls Club this past year. We had a little bit of Omicron, and it was reducing the capacity that we could have big events. So traditionally, they would have had it in one location at the Taubman space, and capacity restrictions made that difficult. They come to 5 Points because it's a little bit different space. We had a little different technical support, and we created a way for them to still hit their fundraising goal, because instead of having 300 people for a dinner, we had 40 people at a time come through that door, and created a new, unique way for them to present their program, raise their money, and continue to have their impact. The space for us, when we talk about to pursue the power of sound, and how do we use that idea to have a broader impact? When we think about where we're going and what we need to do, I set this up and I told myself when I started, I would have 5 years to develop a sustainable business. As a nonprofit, it is inexcusable to have a bad business model. I am not entitled, nor am I expecting anybody at any given time to pick us up and carry us across the goal line. It doesn't mean I don't need it, doesn't mean we don't want it, and it doesn't mean we're not going to ask for it. But we don't expect it, and we're not entitled to it, but we need support. We need people to come in and recognize that the impact of our work is not limited to just the programs. We need people to understand that the goals for us are to sustain our point of impact. Earlier this year, we entered into an agreement. After 5 years, our board has come to the conclusion that the model that we have, while it's not quite there yet, it's on a path of sustainability. We've entered into an agreement to purchase the sanctuary building. Right now, we have to raise over $500,000 to make that possible. Now it's going to go towards adding a lot more to the venue to protect it as we go forward. It'll go towards adding things like bona fide bathrooms. We've got 4 little bathrooms that kind of, wing around the building. That certainly is a pain point for some of the guests when we have a packed show, but it also goes toward providing full ADA access to our lower level. I feel guilty as sin, knowing that I run a program that is dedicated towards accessibility, but one of the key programs that I have, music therapy, I can't get somebody in a wheelchair down to the lower level. It is no doubt a high priority for us to address these things. However, we picked ourselves up by the bootstrap for 4 years, enter year 5, and now it's our time to take what we've done and build on it. Each one of you in this room has spent years building this region. You provided support in ways that most people don't have any clue. I don't, again, expect any of you guys to come in and make my world possible, but I really love anybody that can. I think that as I go forward today, I could not be more excited and more proud about where we are. When I started, it was just me and another person. And that other person quickly got burned out. And they were wondering how many hours I was going to keep working. And I sit here today after the pandemic, after the dedicated support from people from Roanoke City, from all different tiers of the government, from all different tiers of organizations throughout the region. People come and support us. It's not about what we're going to do. I don't want to come to you and ask you about what I want to do with it. I want to come to you because this is what we've already been doing. Programs, they're designed to scale. I get more money for music therapy, the scholarship scale. We have music therapists throughout Southwest Virginia, but then we also have them in Richmond, Northern Virginia. Our Make-A-Wish partnerships, $10,000 is what we look for in an annual sponsorship to sponsor Eli's effort to make his bedroom a music therapy studio, in-house studio, to bring to him at his home where he can't leave a music therapist, to subsidize these things, to provide them a way to experience and celebrate the power of sound. When we think about our accessibility initiatives when it comes to advising and consulting, we used a small church that's defined by a 10 by 10 space that can scale to a Live Nation venue and anywhere in the country. And how do you make 10 by 10 feet an accessible concept? Does it come with a sub pack? Does it come with earbuds? Does it come with other kind of benefits and services that's not confined to just one little space? Our goal is to set standards, follow the benchmarks and best practices that are out there, but raise the bar. We won't always succeed, but we will throw a lot of pasta at the wall along the way, and a lot of it will stick. Again, I've been to these luncheons for many years over the past few years, and I've talked with some of you, and many of you have given me your ears, your voice of support. You've mentored me in some ways. The fact that I can stand here today and take a dedicated 30 minutes of your time and share more about what we do and how we do it and why we do it, it is a great honor and a great privilege. And I really, really appreciate each one of you guys allowing me to come up here. Thank you all so much. I do have my name and my phone number, emails up on the last slide up there. We have a few little flyers up here if you'd like. Sometimes people ask about how they can help. You go to our website, you can donate all you want. But I have coffee and lunch every day. I will sit down with any one of you and share more about what we've got going on, because there's so much more than I can pack into 30 minutes. Anybody wants to come and see what we do, walk the venue, see why it's important for us to sustain and secure that point of impact, I encourage you to do so. Anybody wants to go get a coffee with me? I'll drink one with the pinky up. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. Now, I would certainly take some questions. Bear in mind that I myself have significant hearing loss. I have hearing aids. I don't wear them. My wife wishes I would. But if you do have a question, listen intently. I might have to get someone to be my listener for me. But anybody have any questions or thoughts? We are located right down Jefferson, 1217 Maple Avenue. It's right across from the Carilion Breast Care Center, right there before Lou's on Walnut. We also have an amazing outdoor festival that we're putting on this weekend. These shows that we put on, again, they serve as a platform to fund and promote these programs. This weekend, we kick off Better Hearing Month in May, and we partnered with Roanoke Valley Speech and Hearing Center to come in and provide free mobile hearing tests during our concerts. We have Mr. Melvin Seal from the Jerry Garcia Band, Larry Keel, Bluegrass, coming in. We bring in street performers to these events. Throughout the whole concept of this is how we use these events. You know, if I come out and I run a hearing loss advocacy program, I go and I buy an ad on WVTF and I say, here's a PSA about why we need to focus on hearing loss. More often than not, that message is going to fall on deaf ears. The priming effect of creating an entertainment concept, of creating a place of gathering in which people come and they pay attention to something like music or concerts that means something to them. And then we segue that into our messaging about better hearing, about making our world more universally approachable. All that goes into these events. So on Saturday and Sunday, we close down Maple Avenue, have a big soiree, have bubbles, kids run around. We have a Dunkin' booth, so it's gonna be a little cold. I might not get in it this time. But right there on 1217 Maple Avenue, right in the heart of downtown Roanoke. Not the heart, but it's just outside it. Yeah.
Anybody else have a question? That's a good question. That's a good question. The question is, you have any old great stories about like strange requests from artists like green M&Ms only, or you have to have the limo at 73 degrees, you know,
So-
things like that?
So one of the philosophies that guides us, because when I started this place, no one on anybody's radar. I'm sending emails out for offers and agents looking at me like, who the hell is this guy? And I said, well, what do you want the offer sheet to look like? And I don't know. So my offer sheet that I was sending were so chaotic. They had to get on the phone. Most times they just look at the deal and they say, no, I don't want to do it. But mine, they had to get on the phone and call me back up and say, what am I looking at? That segue into a relationship provide an opening for which they got to understand why we do what we do. When you ask about what we put in the green rooms, and when someone says they give me a list and they say, I want yellow M&Ms and whatever it might be, my response as a default is that we provide the finest in Southern hospitality. Can't guarantee we will get you everything on the list, but we will do our best. As a result, one of the things, very rarely do I get them what's on their list. If it's a particular guy, maybe I'll adjust to it. We talk about the impact of our work, and it's really built on these little stories. Melvin Seals is a legendary performer and one that we're incredibly lucky to be able to bring to Roanoke. The first time I brought him to Roanoke, his daughter called me and said, Melvin, what are you gonna do for dinner? I said, well, I'm gonna go to Roanoke or get fried chicken, biscuits, green beans. I thought it'd be a great way to kind of pitch it out. She said, well, that's really what he likes, just a home cooked meal. I forgot at this hour when he comes in on Sunday that Roanoke wasn't open. So what am I gonna do? So at the time, Aaron Deal from River and Rail was cooking, and I called him up, and I know they have this amazing fried chicken. I don't know if you've been to River and Rail for their lunch fried chicken, but it's epic. I called Aaron. I said, I have a big problem. I need a bunch of fried chicken and a bunch of dinner, and I've got less than 30 minutes to get it. Aaron, we're talking about a 5-star Appalachian cuisine dinner. He went and he brought me about $200 worth of fried chicken, and I put it on the table, and Melvin's agent or manager comes up 15 minutes later and said, Melvin needs more chicken. And I said, I don't know. You don't seem to understand. That chicken takes 48 hours to brine. Don't even serve it on Sunday. I don't even know how I got it. He said, I don't know, man. Melvin needs more chicken. So I sent the guy back out and got another $100 worth of Melvin chicken. And Melvin told me at the time, he said, I don't know what you did or where you got this from, but this is the best fried chicken I've ever had in my life. And so he took this fried chicken with him, and then 6 months go by, and you think it's hyperbole. But 6 months go by, and I get a call from the agent, and Melvin is in San Francisco playing with Phil Lesh and members of the Grateful Dead at this place, Terrapin Station. And his agent's talking, like, everyone's laughing in the background. I said, Tyler, what the hell is this chicken Melvin won't stop talking about? And everybody's laughing about this epic, legendary chicken that Melvin had in Roanoke, Virginia. I told him the story about how it was this great restaurant that we scrambled and we kind of pulled it together. But he was sitting there hyping up the chicken to people in San Francisco. And a couple months later, I sent him back an offer for bringing him back into Roanoke. And his agent told me the first thing Melvin said, that's that place for that fried chicken. Now, I don't pretend that he wouldn't come, that the money that we pay him doesn't, in the driving factor, but the little moment, the seemingly insignificant moment sometimes, the fried chicken, provided a context for why he thought about this place. We think about Roanoke in a lot of different ways. One of the things I think about Roanoke is not about being bigger or better, about taking pride in what we do, about being solid. Across the board, this city has solid restaurants, solid music scene, solid government, solid businesses. It's not about sitting on top of the mountain and screaming, look at me, look at me. It's not a gimmick. It is solid. People take pride in what they do. And when they do that, you get little stories like chicken, and bring Melvin Seals back here.
Hey, I know I can dream about some chicken. How about you guys? Tyler, thank you so much. It's an awesome presentation. We have a speaker honorarium for you to 5 Points Music Foundation that we'd like to present you. So thank you very much. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thanks. So next week is going to be our academic scholarship. So we're going to have a great room. We're going to have a full room. And by the way, guys, 60 in the room today, 14 on Zoom. So let's give us an applaud on that. And I hope you guys have a great week. Sell some pancake tickets, donate some auctions. Look, if you see it on Facebook, hit that share button. Got derby hats next week. And on that, we are adjourned. Thank you.